Hey, folks, good morning and welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. I'm Alan Saunders. It is Wednesday, October 23rd. The Pittsburgh Steelers have their first practice of Week 8 today as they begin to prepare for their Monday Night Football game against the New York Giants. I will be at the South Side a little bit later with more sights and sounds from practice and locker room interviews. Right now, I want to talk about wide receiver again. I know Smitty and I just talked about this on the afternoon drive, but I wanted to give a deeper dive on exactly what the Steelers should be looking for at wide receiver. Why a guy like Cooper Kupp doesn't really fit that. Why a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, who apparently is being traded to the Kansas City Chiefs for a fifth-round pick, would have been nearly ideal. Let's talk about the players involved versus the fit. First of all, I'm not trying to say that Mike Williams, who is available and I believe probably will get traded to the Steelers, is a better player than Cooper Kupp. I'm just saying a player like Mike Williams is what the Steelers really need. And it's because that's what the Steelers offense needs. I understand a lot of people think, oh, they have George Pickens. They don't need another deep threat. What they really need is an underneath guy. And that is getting it totally wrong. Let's talk about it this way. So this is the Steelers' base offense with two tight ends and two equally weighted wide receivers. All right, we're going to say this guy here is good old 14 GP, okay? And this is a traditional defensive alignment, and let's say they're doing what most teams in the NFL are doing right now, and they're playing cover two, okay? Well, what the Steelers really want to do out of this look is run the ball, and they have the second most rushing attempts in the league. They really want to run the ball. Arthur Smith has always really wanted to run the ball, okay? And if you run the ball, you can see you have some advantages here. You have big old 80 here, stepping up to the second level. This is a good look to run the ball out of. And if you are the second most run-heavy team in the league, what you should expect to happen is, in some form or fashion, whether they change the defense or just move their personnel, the other team is going to bring an eighth man into the box. We've seen this all year. Najee Harris running into heavy boxes. Okay. The other team is going to bring an eighth man into the box. All right. Now, if you are throwing against cover two or quarters, whatever, okay, to get the ball to George Pickens, you've got to do some complicated stuff, okay? You either got to throw this cover two hole shot, which is not the world's easiest pass to make, okay? Or maybe you got to run some kind of play action and then get him over the middle, okay? You can do that. All right. What your other receiver does against cover two does not help George Pickens one bit. The players are too disconnected. They're too far apart, okay? So whoever this is over here against cover two, they're not impacting how open George can be one way or the other. It doesn't matter, all right? But when we have teams playing single high coverage, okay, when they line up single high coverage, they're going to move this guy down. They're not going to leave this safety here, not with 14 all the way over here. No, they're going to move this safety in the middle of the field. And in fact, sometimes last year, we saw teams play with their single safety all the way over here. If I am a defensive coordinator watching the New York Jets game and what Russell Wilson and George Pickens did, I might have this second safety right here. They are going to double cover George Pickens and say, do whatever you want over here. This is not going to beat us. Okay. We're going to stop the run with our eighth guy in the box, and we're going to put the safety in a position to take away George Pickens deep. Okay. That is the scenario that the Steelers are going to be facing. So what the Steelers really need is someone that is better than Van Jefferson to be able to beat this guy one-on-one, whether that's up the field, whether that's a post, whether that's a comeback, whatever. This has to be a viable option to keep this safety from cheating towards Pickens, to keep what worked against the Jets available to the Steelers, okay? Now, there are times when the Steelers will take Darnell Washington off the field, and they'll put a slot receiver in, Calvin Austin, right? And then we'll put our safety back up here because you're probably getting too high there. And we'll take one of the linebackers off the field and put a slot corner in there. No, we already had one of the linebackers on the field. Anyway. This scenario, a better player here in the slot would help. And that is what Cooper Kupp is. Now, you can do some things with some stacks that are interesting. You can run like paired verticals where you kind of run like a post and a deep dig, put the safety in conflict, something like that. But this is like 30% of the time in the Steelers offense is all they're using a slot receiver. So like Calvin Austin, he's not great. He's not as good as Cooper Kupp, but for the role in the offense, probably good enough. Van Jefferson, for the role in the offense, not good enough. And can you play Cooper Kupp outside? Yeah, sure. But he's not a deep threat. He is not going to keep that center field safety from shading toward Pickens. And the other part of this equation is the Kupp, even if you decide, okay, well, the Steelers, they couldn't get the guy they wanted. They just got the best guy that was available. And Kupp is probably the best guy that's available. Okay, well, now they're going to change their offense. They're going to have to change their offense because Kupp was the best guy available. And now you got to throw this guy who, was a pretty good receiver not too long ago. The thing about Kupp is he is very good at separating on in-breaking routes. Russell Wilson is 5'10". He can't see over his offensive line. The only way he can throw there is if you move him here and throw it back that way. He is probably the best quarterback that cannot throw in the middle in NFL history. He just can't do it. He's never done it. He never did it all the time in Seattle. By the way, all his years in Seattle were for run-heavy teams that brought an extra player into the box, played two tight ends, and threw the ball deep. That's what Arthur Smith is. That's what Russell Wilson is. That's what the Steelers want to do. They want to suck the defense in against the run and then throw it over the top. That's why the wide receiver twos in Smith's scheme have been guys like Corey Davis and Russell Gage and Kadero Hodge. It has not been smaller, shifty, underneath receivers. It is just not what this offense wants to do. It's not what Russell Wilson wants to do. Now, is there a big play receiver that you could put opposite George that would make sense out there that is a little bit better than Mike Williams? I don't know. Cortland Sutton works perfect, but I don't know if they're going to trade him. DeAndre Hopkins would have been really good. Darius Slayton would be really good. Maybe there's some more out there. I'm not saying that they need to trade for Mike Williams. I'm just explaining that Mike Williams and that type of receiver is a much better fit for this offense than Cooper Kupp. And the Steelers will be wasting a lot of what makes Cooper Kupp good because they don't want to do those things, and they aren't going to do those things because the offense doesn't call for it and the quarterback isn't able to do it. So, yes, Cooper Kupp is really good, but that would be like saying if the Steelers could trade for one player from the Browns, would they rather be better off getting Myles Garrett or Jerry Jeudy? Myles Garrett is the better player, unquestionably. Maybe the best edge rusher in the league, but he's not that much better than TJ. He's not that much better than Alex Highsmith. Jerry Jeudy is a lot better than the Steelers' second and third wide receivers. So, yeah, Kupp is a better player, but he's replacing Austin instead of Jefferson. And he's, and I think they have some answers there. Austin has not been bad. Austin's been really open all year. He just hasn't gotten the ball. I think Roman Wilson will eventually be a contributor there. They don't really have anybody on the outside that looks like an eventual contributor. They're not blocking any of their own prospects by acquiring an outside receiver. I think that is what Omar Khan needs to do. And I expect that he is going to trade for Mike Williams because he is available and he's a good fit and he's going to be cheap. And so I don't really see any reason that he shouldn't. But I understand a lot of you hear Cooper Kupp. The other thing about Kupp is he hasn't been healthy since 2021. Now, Williams has been banged up as well, but you're talking about the difference between paying a 7th-round pick and a 2nd-round pick. That's pretty significant. That's all I got. Let me know if I explain any of that well or if you still don't understand. And we'll be back with more with Smitty on the afternoon drive just after 6. Like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. Don't miss anything. Till then, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and enjoy.